Welcome, welcome to this edition of the Erica Edwards Show here on Business Takeout. And today on Soul of Business, I have Mr. Sean Clouden. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. So usually I do the introduction on what people do and where they're from, but today we're going to do it a little bit different. And I'm going to put you on the spot. Because, there are other things coming up and, this is going to be second nature to you. So can you tell us, Sean, who you are and what it is you do and where you are located?
Okay, so who am I is a pretty big question, but I'll shorten it down. There's really two parts to me. Most importantly, I am a family man. I have three amazing children, two beautiful daughters and a very energetic son. A wonderful wife, and I'm just very family oriented. So that's one side of me. The other side is me. I am a wealth manager. I've actually been working in the financial industry for the last 20 years. For the first 8 years, I was working at one of the big Canadian banks. And then after that, after really learning the business, I realized that it wasn't exactly how I wanted my business to work. So I then became independent advisor, which simply means I no longer work for financial institutions, but I work specifically for my client. And we just use the financial institutions as tools to help us get to our financial goals.
Okay. And you operate in what city?
So my office is in Woodbridge, Ontario, but I actually service all of Ontario, especially now with COVID. I don't even go into the office. I work from home. So I do Zoom meetings with people as far as Thunder Bay, Sudbury, people in Toronto, Brampton, all over. So all of Ontario is where I service.
All of Ontario. Okay. The first thing I want to note is when I asked you who you were, I love the fact that you said, well, that's a big question. And you had a lot to say about that. But obviously with you, family comes first,
Yes.
because that's what you mentioned first before what you did for a living, why you did what you do for a living. So I think that's really interesting and it speaks a lot to your character, what I've learned about you so far. Something else interesting you said right off the bat, Sean, is that you went from working for a specific financial institution to working for your clients. And
Correct.
that sounds very different. So would you say that when you were working for the financial institution really came first?
Most definitely. And I don't say that to knock any financial institution. That's just the way their business model is made. So they trained me, and I was very good at giving you credit cards and increasing your line of credits. And really what I was doing ultimately was giving you the ability to put yourself in more debt. And at the time I was doing it, I was good at it. I was meeting my targets. We have these monthly targets, and I thought I was doing the right thing. It wasn't until after being in that industry for a few years, and then you really start to see this person shouldn't be taking on any more debt. But my monthly goal says I have to sell this person some stuff. So that's how it was when working for the financial institution. And for the most part, the majority of them are like that. And I wanted to get away from that monthly target sales, and just really be what people want you to be, which is just open and honest and help them understand how to make the right decisions with their money.
So I'm going to take a leap here. And if you'd like, because I know you're in the industry, I'm not, so I can say anything that I want. I won't get into trouble. So I'm going to take a leap. And if you agree with me and don't want to say anything, you could just slightly nod and then I'll run with it. But it seems to me, from what you said, that for an individual, their best bet in terms of getting a wealth manager is to get an independent wealth manager and not necessarily go with the one that's from their bank.
So personally, I do believe that. I'm sure some of the banking advisors will have something different to say. But when you work for a bank and a client approaches you, the first thing you should do, whether you're working for a bank or not, is just find out what is this person's goals? What are they trying to achieve financially? The next step is, okay, what tools do I have to help this person? Well, when you only work for an institution where you can only offer that institution's products and services, you're now limited. I can only give you the best thing that we have, as opposed to when you're independent like myself, is I can give you the best thing available in the industry. So I don't have any commitments to any financial institution. I'm really going to go wherever is going to give my client the services that they need in order to get to whatever their goal is.
Okay, so you're in agreement with me then that an independent financial manager, wealth management is probably much better for the client, right?
In my opinion, of course, there's exceptions to every rule. There are some advisors in the branch that may be a better advisor than some of the independent ones. But as a general rule of thumb, I do feel that independent advisors work more for their clients versus working for the institutions.
Okay. So, Sean, I'd like to scroll back a bit because to me, understanding is really important as we go forward. So you are a wealth manager, and a lot of times, there's a lot of words we hear often, but we don't fully understand what they are. So, I mean, like kindergarten level, I want you to break it down for me. What do you actually do? What is your service? Like, I come to you, I say, my name is Erica. I have $4. What can you do for me? What can you do?
So the first thing I would ask you is not so much, do you have $4? My first question would be, what's your goals, Erica? What is it that you want to achieve? Your answer may be something like, I want to save for my children's education, or I want to save for a house, or I want to pay off my mortgage, or I want to build a retirement fund. So depending on what your goal is, I'm really going to tailor our conversation to that. So the first question really would be is not so much how much money do you have, but really what are your goals?
Okay, I like that. So you're not coming, okay, show me your pockets. You want to know, what do I want to do with whatever's in my pockets, be it $1 million or lint? What is your actual goal, right?
Correct.
Okay, so then how do you help me? What do you do?
So once I understand your goals, I'm very big on financial literacy. I make an education a big part of my conversations with my clients. Mm-hmm. So if you said your goal was buying a house, for example, well, I would show you 2, maybe 3 different strategies that you can use to buy a house, how to save up for a down payment, how to work on making sure your credit is in the right order. I would educate you on 2 or 3 different strategies, and together we would determine which strategy is the best option for you. Because the best option for you isn't the best option for everybody. As individuals, we all have our own unique needs, and my job is to determine your exact need and then help you reach that goal.
Okay, so you are you're like, would this be a good analogy? Like a coach? You're like my money coach?
And most definitely.
So you train me, you get me like financially fit, get my endurance up, and then teach me a few different plays. Maybe I want to go left, maybe I want to go right, but you show me the way to get to my goal at the end. So you're like a financial coach, right?
That's exactly what I am. That may not be my title, but that's exactly what I am.
I like that. Okay, because we hear the word coaching a lot nowadays with social media. And I think in a more traditional sense, like sports, we understand what a coach does. And sometimes, a coach is a lot of tough love. A coach shows you your actual reality. I see this in you, but this is where you are right now. And in order to get you to that place, this is what we can do. Or the coach knows, he's not a quarterback, but he can do this. So let's get you there. So that's how you would help. Is it by assessing? And I like that. The first thing you find out is what's my goal, because not everybody has the same goals. And then you educate me on different strategies. Now, do you find that your job requires a lot of hand-holding, or do you see that your clients often really pick up the ball and do it themselves? Or is it a variety? What do you find? What situation do you find yourself dealing with most?
A wide variety. And just to give you a part of that spectrum, yesterday I helped a lady invest a $1 million pension package that she has. This morning, I helped my client's 18-year-old daughter set up a $50 a month savings account. So it really depends on the client. I work with such a wide variety of people that it's hard to really give a definite answer to that question.
Okay, but I like that you talk about that $50 savings plan, because I think a lot of people who aren't rich, who don't have a lot, maybe are currently in debt, they feel that a financial manager is actually beyond them. and they're not there yet, quote unquote there yet, because they don't have it. What do you say to that, Sean?
So that is actually the number one misconception in this industry. People think you need to be rich to hire a wealth manager. Well, no, you just have to have the desire to want to be rich or have some financial freedom. That's all you need, is just a desire. And then you can work with an advisor like myself. So you may have $4 to go back to your previous example. Give me a call. There's not much you can do with $4, of course. I'm not a magician. I can't work magic. But I will definitely at least have a conversation. And if nothing else, I will at least give you some educational tips that you can use to get yourself started into the financial.
Absolutely. So, Sean, you said that it's been 20 years you've been in the industry?
Correct.
And how long have you been working for yourself?
12 of that
12
20
years. So you're a veteran. You are a veteran entrepreneur.
I'm a veteran entrepreneur. However, I feel that as an entrepreneur, especially in this industry, you always feel like you're always learning something new. There's always something new to learn. Like I'm not even near the point where I feel like I don't need to pick up another financial book because I have all the information in my head already. Not even close to that point. So this is definitely an industry where there is a lot of continuous learning. And you could be in this industry for 40 years and you're still going to training sessions and you're still learning new things. Right. So I may be a veteran with regards to the amount of years or skin in the game, as they call it, but I still consider myself a learner. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I want to be a learn-it-all kind of a person.
Okay, you sound like the man to be my financial advisor. I love that. So always learning, always growing. Rules change, markets change, ways of life change. I mean, look at us in one short year. We went from regular life to everybody working from home, job loss, government benefits. There's just a lot happening in just one short year. So I can imagine what has happened in the financial world over the last 12. So even though, like you said, you're always learning and you are that learning entrepreneur, and I think that will make you a good one because you understand you can't possibly know it all and you're open to new information, but you are a vet. A lot of people go into business for themselves and they don't make it out of very far, a year, 2 years. It is not easy. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It really isn't. So, Sean, here on Business Takeout, as you know, on the Soul of Business, we ask the doers to teach. We ask the people who have actually gotten it done and have a proven track record like yourself. What can you tell the new entrepreneurs, the struggling entrepreneurs, or the people that are still on the other side of the fence looking over thinking, I might want to do that too? What would be, okay, let me start with this question. If you could go back 12 years and tell yourself, Sean, something, not even one thing, even give me 2 or 3 even if you want, but if there was some advice that the Sean of 2020 could tell the Sean of 2008 or 2008 and save him some grief, maybe some money, what would that be?
So much. If I had to I guess if I had to narrow it down, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I hope none of my family and friends are watching this and get offended, but we need to learn who to take advice from. Only take advice from people who have done something where they've experienced, where they can teach you. And what I mean by that is entrepreneurs, we have these big dreams and these big goals. And when you express that to family and friends, they don't always see your vision. And they may say, well, that's not a good idea. Why don't you just go and work at the bank or whatever? And it's not that they want to hold you back or hold you down, but they just don't see your vision. So yes, I would still tell you to share your vision with family and friends, but don't get discouraged when they don't see it and when they're trying to tell you you're dreaming too big. Really reach out to those people in your circle or people that you just know that can give you advice because they've done what you're trying to do. So a mentor is really a really great thing. I didn't have a mentor until about 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Exactly. And I've been in the industry for 12 years.
So you would have got a mentor 13 years ago?
If I had gotten a mentor when I first started this industry, I would definitely be a bit further ahead than I am now, for sure.
Okay,
So
I think I have a question about the mentor after, but I don't want to get off track because I find that very interesting. So
yeah,
far you said if 2020 Sean could speak to 2008 Sean, he'd be like, look, you need a mentor.
yes.
Be careful who you share your vision with, and learn who to take advice from. Any other tips that you want to tell our 2020 entrepreneurs who are going to be in business next year, and maybe you could save them a little bit of grief?
Yes. So for our 2020 entrepreneurs, um, the times we live in right now is social media. Everything is online. So if I had to give you another piece of advice, is always be professional online.
Ooh.
Maybe you dislike Donald Trump and you would love to inflict some kind of pain on him. Don't put that on your Facebook page. Keep that for when you're hanging out with your friends. Because the reality is, if a new client is going to want to do business with you, one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to go and Google search you and look at your social media. And they're going to want to see what kind of things you talk about and what kind of things you're doing. So, yes, you can be personal, but just be very careful because people have different opinions and you don't want that to get in the way of business.
Okay, so be really careful with your social media. And I think that's a really good piece of advice. I mean, if you are in a specific industry, most industries actually, you really should watch your social media. Now, if your industry is social media and you are not a disruptor of sorts, then obviously you're going to put your very polarizing opinions out there because that's actually what you do.
Right.
But for most business professionals, and this ranges right across the board, it is actually better to keep those personal opinions, the strong ones especially, to yourself. Now, it doesn't mean not being authentic, because authenticity really is what will separate you from the rest, but really watching your socials. I mean, we're seeing so many people being, torn down after posting something years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reality is once you post something, you think you've deleted it, but maybe it's on somebody else's page or it can still be found by doing a search. And even outside of the entrepreneurial world, nowadays, if you go for a job interview and they like you, before they call you for a second interview, they're going to go and Google you. They're going to look at your LinkedIn and your Facebook. So this is the reality for everyone, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. You really have to just make sure you're being personal and professional at the same time.
Right. And it is a balance. Now, from looking at your page, very interestingly that you say that, of course, I stalk my guests. I look through stuff. That's, again, like you said, before you go for an interview, before you go somewhere, the person looks to see, hey, what does this person represent? What are they about? And interestingly enough, you and I have both recently boycotted the same business because of some social media comments that they made. And I too frequented that business. I mean, I brought people to that business. I tell everybody, you got to come here. And then as soon as I had found that out and read some of the comments they had made relating to race and race relations and all of the things that have been happening now, I don't go there anymore. And I haven't been there and I won't recommend them and I won't go back. And if I got to get like something else, then that's what I'll do. But absolutely. And that right there is an example of a business that I'm sure has been greatly impacted by the owner and the workers posting their feelings and thoughts on certain issues. So again, I think that if that's really how you feel and you want to stand by it and that's customer base that you want and you have no issues with alienating anyone else, perhaps that's the route you'll go. But I don't think most people would want that, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And we haven't had this conversation before now, so I know exactly which company you're talking about because I've only boycotted one company.
Exactly.
So I know exactly who you're talking about.
Exactly. And again, just like you said, being so professional yourself, and again, that's really a true stand on what you believe in and what you represent as a person and as a business person. And I found it interesting because myself too, I'm not part of the cutoff culture. I don't believe in just shutting people down right away after something, but I do believe we do have to stand for something.
Yep.
It's really important. And speaking of standing for something, aside from being a wealth manager who's our coach and who's going to take us and guide us to that end goal that we need to have, as you said, you're a family man. You're a man who loves your family and your community and your people. And something that you and I were talking about earlier today, I mean, aside from the fact that obviously racism in the workplace is something that you definitely take issue with, you know, being a family person is something that matters a lot to you. Something you and I had discussed earlier was supporting Black business and how important that is to incorporate that into your everyday life, like your overall philosophy. And I'm gonna give this to you, Sean, and I want you to explain why, because I think you did it so well. A lot of people say when you say things like, you know, oh, I'd like to get you know, go to a Black business, or do you have a you know, I'm looking for a clothing store owned by a Black person, or a nail tech that's Black, and people say, well, that's racist. Can you explain to us, Sean, why it's not?
I'll try to explain that without offending anybody. So,
Good luck.
right? Good luck, right? So, if we look at other communities, and if we look at statistics with regards to recycling dollars with your own community, we know that the Black community will much faster to spend their money outside of our own people than other communities. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a city called Brampton. And for those of you who know Brampton, they know it's a very high Indian population. So when you're driving down the street, if you see 10 houses for sale, you can be sure 9 of those 10 houses have an Indian real estate selling that house. And the reason why is they have a culture where they support their community. And same thing with Chinese, Asian communities. A lot of them, they all like to live together, like to live in the same neighborhood so that they can have the stores and everything that they want in one place. Well, Black people are really the only community that don't do that as well as other communities. So you really need to recycle dollars in your own community in order for your community to grow. So when I say I support Black businesses and I will go out of my way to support Black businesses, that doesn't mean I only support Black businesses. If I want a coffee, I'm going to go to Tim Hortons down the street that's probably not owned by a Black person. But whenever I can support a Black business, I do, because I know it's a little hard for us to make it in multiple industries, financial industry and others. It's a little bit challenging. We're viewed a little bit different by non-Black, and sometimes even Black people view us in a negative way for no reason. So for that reason, even before George Floyd, before 2020, before a lot of people started supporting Black businesses, I was that person. You could ask my friends 5 years ago, if you came to me and said, Sean, I'm starting a T-shirt business. Even if I wasn't a big fan of your T-shirt business, I'm going to buy your T-shirt just to show support. So I feel that other communities support their community, and the Black community need to start doing the same. It doesn't mean we're anti anybody else. It just means we love ourselves more than we love other people. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I love that. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. I think that that is the best summary. It's not that being pro-Black is anti anything. Right. It is simply being pro-Black. And for me, in my personal choices, because I've been like that also too for years, where I've actually found myself in a store somewhere else about to pick up a product, and then I remember I have a friend or someone I know that sells it, and I have to put it down. And now I may have to go pick it up or go somewhere else, but that little bit more effort is going to, like you said, keep the money in my community. And it's great when I can hit you up in 10 years and say, yeah, Sean, I know you have this this company and my son needs a stage, or, you know, he needs, because then again, we now can employ each other and help each other. It just recycles back into our community. But one of the things that I say to address that question of, you know, isn't it racist? It's unfair. It's biased. It's a balancing. Because so many people, as you said, are biased against us. There are so many people who are not going to Black-owned businesses because they are Black-owned businesses. Yep. So we have to show up and show out by, you know, trying to balance the scale. So somebody had said to me earlier, they're like, well, you know, what some people don't understand is that there are people who are not Black that are very deliberately not choosing Black business. So it is a balancing act, and it's up to us as a community to balance the scales, but also too, by frequenting each other's businesses and going, we can give the feedback necessary to become great. So instead of, that's something else that I want to say, that instead of bashing that local business very publicly, put them aside and say, listen, I came in, this happened, I didn't like that. You can prove there. And most business owners want business. And so they're happy to make those adjustments. So definitely the great example was, you go to McDonald's, they mess up your order, you go back to McDonald's.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
They try to charge you 25 cents for a dipping sauce. You yell at the girl, you go back to McDonald's. So we should try that same methodology in our own community where, yeah, you know what, you might have messed up my order last time, but I'm back. And I told you about it politely. So let's try again. And maybe in, a few weeks, you could say, listen, this is just one of the best places I've ever been. So that's my take on supporting Black business. And thank you for that, Sean. And that is, why it isn't racist. It's not pro-Black doesn't mean anti anything. So
that's right. That's exactly right. And I think a lot of the other communities don't realize that. Because you say, I want to support a Black business, it doesn't mean I'm not supporting other businesses too. It's just, I want to make an effort to build my community, just like other communities have been built. And I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Absolutely. And really, we can't not support any other businesses. Just by the way things are made up, we are not in every industry. We cannot provide every service. So just by having to live, we have no choice but to support other businesses. So where we can make the choice, I think it's important to make that choice. Absolutely.
That's right.
Sean, before we wrap up, because as I told you when we were speaking earlier, this half an hour was going to fly by.
I know.
Yeah, it went by really, really fast. But before we do a little summary and wrap up all the gems that you dropped today and the knowledge that you've paid forward, and we thank you for your time, because I'm sure at 12 years in on your own and 20 years in the industry, you're a busy man. So thank you for stopping by to share what the knowledge you've accumulated and what you know and how you can help. But before that, I'm going to do this twice so that whoever's out there watching that needs Sean's help can contact him. Sean, how can we find you?
So if you go on either Facebook or Instagram and just do a search for #Cloud Wealth, I will come up. Alternatively, you can visit my website, www.cloudwm.ca. The WM stands for Wealth Management. So cloudwm.ca.
.ca. Okay, so that's how we'll find you. So now I'm going to summarize what you've told us. You let me know at the end of it if I'm right, and if there's anything else that you'd like to add, okay? So let's see how good of a learner Erica is, okay?
Okay.
So, well, one thing I want to just say about you personally is family is first, and I think that's amazing. And it's very interesting that our successful entrepreneurs always have something they actually put before their business. So I think that's a very interesting point to take down, all of you aspiring entrepreneurs, that they actually aren't all about money. There's other things that drive them. And so I would say that, what did I learn from you today? Always learn. Keep on learning, no matter how long you've been in your industry. Look for new information, be open to new information, seek it out, always be learning. It's going to make you the very best at what you do for the longest time. Learn to take advice from. You cannot take advice from just anyone. Be very careful and cautious who you take advice from, and also know who to share your vision with. Someone who doesn't look at life as you, or may not be as ambitious as you, even if it's not intentional, may dampen your spirits and may make you feel like this is something you shouldn't do. So be very careful who you share with. Get a mentor.
Yes.
Get a mentor as soon as you can. Before you maybe you know what you want to be mentored in. Get someone to mentor you 100%. And on social media, always be professional. Be professional. Be honest, be transparent, but be professional. And sometimes quiet is the best answer.
Yes, definitely.
How did I do?
You did great. I want to just touch quickly on that mentor comment. So sometimes when we hear the word mentor, we think I got to go find somebody and pay for them to coach me. My first mentor is somebody that I've never met. Up to this day, I've never met him. But it's somebody that's built a huge financial business from scratch. So I Googled him, I researched him, I read his books, and I learned his steps, like what he did. So I use him as a mentor, and he's never even heard my name before, probably. So my point is, don't always feel that you have to go and hire a mentor company. That may be the best thing for you, but the ultimate goal is to really find somebody that's done something that you're impressed and you want to be able to follow their recipe. And you just really want them to give you the recipe is what it is.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Actually, when I had said I wanted to come back to the mentor question, that actually was my question. How did you find them? What did you do? Because finding a mentor, as you said, most people think they have to find someone that they're in the same industry as and then pay them a fee so they can check in with them and give them that mentorship. But you found somebody that you respect and admire what they've done, and you followed their steps.
Yes. So I have two mentors. So my other mentor is somebody that works in the financial industry, has done for the last, I think, close to 50 years, 40 something years. And so that is somebody that I will meet with and we'll talk to my specific goals and he'll help me along the way that way. But he's not my only mentor. So seek out, and you know how it goes, Erica, when you're first starting a business, you may not have a lot of money up front to put into the business. So you got to find ways of cutting costs. So if it's expensive to go spend $2,000 on a mentor, well, then maybe find another mentor that you can go and buy their $30 book and start that.
Okay, that's great advice, Sean. That is really, really great advice because, like you said, starting a business is expensive. There's a lot of things we can do ourselves, and there's things we shouldn't cut corners on. And as you grow, you can actually adjust what you're spending your money on. So I think that's a great piece of advice. If you don't have the $2,000 to put out for, a big mentor, start with the people you admire. A lot of them have written books. A lot of them have programs you can follow, webinars that are free. There's so much free information on the web. It's phenomenal. So definitely do that. And Sean, before we go, is mentorship something that you're looking at doing in the future?
It's funny that you asked that. I've never actually seen myself as a mentor, but I recently had a high school friend join the financial industry and reached out to me and asked me to mentor him. And I was kind of taken back because, again, I never saw myself as a mentor. And I said gladly, and I don't even charge him, and I'm just giving him the tips that I wished I had in the beginning. So will I mentor somebody? Definitely. Gladly.
Amazing. Well, I feel very mentored and guided by you today. I think that you took some of the scariness out of that big title of financial manager, and have made some people realize that this might be exactly what they need, is a coach to get them to that end goal, and somebody who has the experience, who has the knowledge, and has been continuously studying this particular industry for years. So you yourself, people, do not have to become, financial wizards. It might just be in your best interest to hire one.
Yep. That's right.
Absolutely. Well, Sean, once again, tell us where we can find you.
So if you go on any of the major social media platforms and do a search for #Cloud Wealth, you'll find me very easily. Alternatively, you can visit my website, cloudwm.ca. So the WM is wealth management.
Amazing. Sean, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And thank you for all the things you've been doing for our community over the years by your own personal choices and through your profession. So I thank you personally for all of that. And I look forward to speaking to you again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So everyone, this is Erica. Whoops, which way? This way. Erica Edwards from the Erica Edwards Show here on Business Takeout, Soul of Business, where the doers come to teach, where they pay it forward with knowledge and education. I hope you enjoyed this edition, and we got more coming up for you next Thursday. See you then.